Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about something fundamental, something that separates the good from the great, the dreamers from the doers, and the successful from the almost there. That something is persistence. It's not a fancy word, it's not glamorous, and it doesn't grab headline. Today, I want to talk to you about two words we hear often but don't always understand fully: purpose and passion. We're often told to follow our passion, to find what we love, and the rest will fall into place. And while passion is important, it's not enough. Passion can ignite a fire, but it's purpose that will keep that fire burning when things get tough, when the excitement fades, and when the obstacles seem insurmountable. Purpose, not passion, is what gives life meaning. It's the compass that guides you through the storm. Let's talk about passion for a moment. Passion is the spark that gets us moving. It's that burst of energy, that excitement you feel when you're doing something you love. Passion can drive you to work late into the night, to put in extra hours, and to push beyond your limits. But passion, as powerful as it is also fleeting. It can come and go like the wind. Think about the last time you felt passionate about something, a project, a hobby, a goal. That excitement was strong in the beginning, wasn't it? But over time, that initial rush starts to fade. What was once exciting becomes routine. What once lit you up inside now feels like just another task on your to-do list, and that's where passion falls short. It's a fantastic starting point, but it's not enough to sustain you in the long run. Let's talk about purpose. Purpose is deeper. Purpose is what remains when the passion fades. It's the reason you keep going when the excitement wears off. Purpose is the foundation beneath the fire. It's the why behind everything you do. Passion may get you started, but it's purpose that will carry you through the tough times. When you find your purpose, you gain something priceless: a reason to persevere. Purpose gives you the strength to keep pushing forward when the journey gets difficult, when the obstacles seem insurmountable, and when passion alone isn't enough to motivate you. Purpose is what makes the grind worth it. It's the force that drives you to do the hard work, the boring work, the repetitive work, because you know that what you're doing matters. Here's the key difference between passion and purpose. Passion is about what excites you. Purpose is about what serves others. Passion is self-focused, while purpose is outward-focused. When you pursue something simply because you love it, that's great. But when you pursue something because it makes a difference, that's when you find true fulfillment. Purpose is bigger than you. It's about how your work, your time, your effort can contribute to something greater. When you work with a sense of purpose, you're not just thinking about what makes you happy or excited in the moment. You're thinking about how your actions impact the world around you. And that shift in perspective changes everything. Take an example from the world of medicine. A surgeon might be passionate about the science of surgery, about the intricate details of their craft. But passion alone won't get them through the long hours, the sleepless nights, or the emotional toll of working with patients whose lives are in their hands. What keeps them going is their purpose: saving lives, easing suffering, and making a real difference in people's lives. It's purpose that sustains them when the passion fades. Purpose doesn't just keep you going, it makes you resilient. When you're aligned with your purpose, setbacks don't feel like the end of the road. Instead, they become lessons, stepping stones towards something greater. You see, passion might give you energy, but purpose gives you endurance. In the pursuit of any meaningful goal, you're going to face challenges. You'll encounter obstacles that will test your patience, your resolve, and your willingness to keep going. Passion will push you for a while, but when the going gets tough, it's your sense of purpose that will keep you in the fight. Take a look at any great leader, any person who has made a lasting impact. Whether they're in business, sports, education, or any other field, what you'll find is that they didn't succeed because they were passionate. They succeeded because they had a purpose that drove them to keep going even when the odds were against them. Here's the beautiful thing about purpose: it's a choice. You don't have to wait for it to strike you like a lightning bolt. You choose your purpose by deciding what matters most to you and how you can use your time, talents, and resources to serve that greater good. It's not always easy to find your purpose. It requires reflection, self-awareness, and sometimes even trial and error. But once you find it, once you discover the reason you're here, The reason you do what you do, everything changes. Work doesn't feel like work anymore. Success isn't just about accolades or financial rewards, it's about making a meaningful impact. Without purpose, passion can fizzle out. Think about how many people start projects with enthusiasm only to abandon them halfway through. How many times have you seen someone begin a new hobby or career path with passion, only to lose interest when things got tough? Passion without purpose is temporary. But when you combine passion with purpose, that's when you create something lasting, something meaningful. Purpose is what turns a hobby into a lifelong pursuit. It's what transforms a job into a calling. And it's what takes you from chasing success to chasing significance. You leave here today, I want you to ask yourself, what is my purpose? What is the why behind what I do? It's not enough to simply be passionate. Passion will come and go, but purpose is what will give your life direction and meaning. Purpose is what will drive you to keep going when the passion fades, when the road gets tough, and when the excitement wears off. Don't just live for passion, live for purpose. Passion might set you on the path, but purpose is what will see you through to the end. It's what will give your life significance beyond just personal satisfaction. It's what will inspire others, create a lasting legacy, and make the world a better place for you having been in it. Today, I want to talk to you about something that often goes unnoticed, unappreciated, and sometimes even avoided: the process. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, we're constantly bombarded with images of success stories, people who made it, and the highlight reels of others' accomplishments. But what we don't see are the long nights, the hard work, the setbacks, and the sacrifices that led to that success. We don't see the process. And that's why today I want to emphasize the importance of embracing the process. Because success isn't just a destination, it's the journey, the grind, the uphill battle, and the moments when no one is watching. We live in an era where the focus is often on the destination. The trophies, the accolades, the promotions, the wealth, these are the things we're told to aim for. We're constantly looking at the end result. And while there's nothing wrong with setting goals or striving for success, we often forget the most important part, the path that gets us there. You see, success is not just about reaching the finish line, it's about the steps you take along the way. The process, the blood, sweat, and tears is where growth happens. It's where you develop character, resilience, and discipline. Too many people chase the end result without appreciating the journey that leads to it. They want the glory without the grind, the victory without the struggle. But here's the truth: the process is what shapes you. The process is what makes you who you are. The grind is where the real magic happens. It's where you become stronger, smarter, and more resilient. Each step in the process, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. Every challenge you face, every setback, every failure, it's all part of the process. And if you learn to embrace it, you'll discover that the journey is often more rewarding than the destination itself. Think about anyone who has achieved greatness, whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, an artist, or a leader. They didn't get there by skipping the hard part. They embraced the grind. They put in the hours, practiced when no one was watching, and kept going even when things got tough. That's the secret. Most people don't talk about. The process is not glamorous, but it's essential. It's where success is truly built. Let me share with you a story about one of the greatest basketball players of all time, Michael Jordan. We all know about his 6 NBA championships, his MVP titles, and his status as one of the best to ever play the game. But what we often overlook is the process he went through to get there. Jordan didn't make his high school varsity team on his first try. He was devastated, but he didn't give up. He used that setback as fuel to push himself harder. Day in and day out, he worked on his game, honing his skills, perfecting his craft. He embraced the process, and that's what made him great. Here's something we don't like to admit: failure is a part of the process. You will fail. You will make mistakes. You will fall short. But the way you respond to those setbacks is what matters most. Do you give up? Or do you get back up, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward? The process is not linear. It's filled with ups and downs, twists and turns. But every setback is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to get better. Don't fear failure, embrace it. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's a part of it. Every failure brings you one step closer to your goal, as long as you keep moving forward. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, failed over 1,000 times before he succeeded. When asked about his failures, Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset of someone who embraces the process. He didn't let failure define him, he used it as a stepping stone towards success. Too often we focus so much on the big goal that we overlook the small victories along the way. But those small wins matter. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Celebrate those moments. Appreciate the little things because they're all part of the bigger picture. Let's take the example of running a marathon. You don't just wake up one day and run miles. It takes months of training, early mornings, long runs, and countless moments of doubt. But with each training session, you get a little bit stronger. With each run, you're building the endurance, both physically and mentally, to finish the race. And while the ultimate goal is to cross that finish line, it's the process of getting there, the miles you put in, the discipline you develop that makes the achievement so meaningful. One of the greatest gifts the process gives you is resilience. When you embrace the grind, when you push through the tough times, you develop the ability to bounce back. Life will throw challenges your way. It's not a matter of if, but when. But if you've embraced the process, if you've built up that resilience, you'll be able to handle anything that comes your way. Resilience isn't built overnight. It's built in the trenches, in the moments when you want to give up but choose to keep going. It's built when you face obstacles head on and refuse to back down. And that resilience, that mental toughness will serve you in every aspect of your life, not just in the pursuit of success. So how do we embrace the process? First, we must shift our mindset. Instead of focusing solely on the outcome, we need to fall in love with the journey. The process is where we spend most of our time, so why not enjoy it? Celebrate the progress you're making, no matter how small. Find joy in the work, in the challenges, and in the growth. Second, we must be patient. Success doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, effort, and persistence. Embrace the long game. Understand that every step, no matter how difficult, is bringing you closer to your goal. Trust the process. Not about how fast you reach your goal or how smoothly the journey goes. It's about who you become along the way. The process is where you build the skills, the resilience, and the character that will sustain your success once you reach the destination. So I challenge you to embrace the process. Don't rush it. Don't resist it. Lean into it. Because the process is where greatness is forged. It's where success is truly made. The journey may be tough, but the reward is always worth it. Today, I want to talk about something that touches each of us deeply, whether we realize it or not, the idea of leaving a legacy. So often we get caught up in the race of life, pursuing success, chasing goals, and accumulating accolades. But there's something far more significant than any of those achievements: the impact we leave behind. It's not enough to simply live and be remembered. We should all strive to leave a legacy, not just a memory. What does it mean to leave a legacy? A memory fades with time. It's a fleeting thought or a momentary reflection of someone who was once here. But a legacy lasts. It's something that transcends time, something that shapes the lives of those who come after you. A legacy is the lasting imprint you leave on the world through your actions, your values, and the lives you touch along the way. We live in a fast-paced world, one that often pushes us to focus on the here and now. It tells us to achieve, to consume, to enjoy the moment, and to seek immediate gratification. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with enjoying the present, it's important to ask ourselves, are we building something that will outlast us? Are we creating a life that will leave behind more than just a series of personal memories? The truth is, success on its own is not enough. Money, fame, titles, these things fade. They're temporary. What truly matters is the difference you make in the lives of others. That's what will remain long after you're gone. Think about it: at the end of your life, will you be remembered for the wealth you accumulated or for the people you lifted up? Will your legacy be defined by the positions you held or by the lives you changed? A legacy is about impact. It's about how you use your time, your resources, and your talents to contribute to something greater than yourself. It's about understanding that your life is part of a bigger story, one that stretches beyond your own personal ambitions. Let's take a moment to think about those who have left a lasting legacy in history. Figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, these are people who are remembered not just for their accomplishments, but for the positive impact they had on the world. They didn't just live for themselves, they lived for a cause, for a purpose that extended far beyond their individual lives. Their legacies endure because they touched hearts, changed minds, and left the world a better place than they found it. And here's the thing, you don't have to be famous to leave a legacy. Legacy isn't about fame or public recognition. It's about the everyday actions you take, the values you stand by, and the way you make others feel. It's about living with integrity, showing kindness, and standing up for what's right. Your legacy is written in the way you treat people, in the encouragement you offer, and in the love you give. We often think of legacy as something to worry about later in life, something that will naturally unfold as we grow older. But the truth is, legacy is built in the small decisions we make every day. Every choice you make, every action you take is a brick in the foundation of the legacy you'll leave behind. Whether you're conscious of it or not, you're creating your legacy right now. Are you living with intention? Are you focused on creating a life that will benefit not just yourself, but others as well? When you wake up each morning, ask yourself, what kind of legacy am I building today? Am I using my talents, my resources, my influence to make a positive impact? It's important to understand that legacy isn't something you leave when you die, it's something you live while you're alive. It's about showing up for others, being a force for good, and consistently striving to make the world a better place. Whether that's through your family, your work, your community, or your friendships, you have the power to leave behind a lasting impression. Here's the beauty of living a legacy. It doesn't just affect those you directly interact with. When you live with purpose and intention, you create a ripple effect. Your actions influence others, who in turn influence others, and so on. The impact you make can spread far beyond what you can see. It's like planting a tree under whose shade you may never sit, but knowing that generations to come will benefit from it. Think about a teacher who inspires a student. That student might go on to change the world, and it all started with one person who cared enough to make a difference. Or consider a parent who instills strong values in their children. Those values will shape not just their children's lives, but the lives of future generations. That's the power of legacy. It multiplies, it grows, and it reaches far beyond the present moment. At the core of legacy is character. Your legacy is not defined by what you achieve, but by who you are. It's your integrity, your kindness, your generosity, your compassion. These are the qualities that people will remember long after you're gone. People may forget the specific things you said or did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. When we talk about leaving a legacy, we're really talking about living a life of purpose and intention. We're talking about living in such a way that when your time is up, the world will be better because you were here, not because you accumulated wealth or reached a certain level of status, but because you used your time, your talents, and your resources to lift others up. So as you leave here today, I challenge you to think about your legacy. What kind of impact are you making? What will you leave behind? Don't wait until tomorrow to start building your legacy. Start today. Live with intention. Lead with love. And focus not just on what you can accomplish, but on how you can make a difference. Today, I want to talk about two emotions that all of us have experienced at some point in our lives: fear and regret. These two forces shape the way we live, the decisions we make, and ultimately the people we become. But here's the truth that I want you to carry with you: fear is temporary, but regret is forever. And once you understand this, it will change the way you approach every challenge, every opportunity, and every dream you have. Let's start with fear. Fear is a natural human emotion. It's hardwired into us. From the moment we're born, fear is there to protect us. It tells us to avoid danger, to be cautious, to stay safe. But while fear can keep us out of harm's way, it can also keep us from living fully. It can paralyze us, make us hesitate, and stop us from taking risks that could lead to growth, fulfillment, and success. We've all been there standing at the edge of a decision, feeling that knot in our stomach, hearing that voice in our head saying, what if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? Fear makes us imagine the worst case scenarios. It makes us think about all the things that could go wrong rather than all the things that could go right. But here's what you need to understand. Fear is temporary. It comes and goes. It shows up in the moments before we take a big step. But once we push through it, it fades away. Fear is fleeting. It's that short, sharp burst of discomfort we feel right before we do something new or challenging. But once we step into action, once we move past that fear, we realize that it wasn't as powerful as we thought. Regret is what you feel when you look back at your life and think, I could have done more. I should have tried. I wish I hadn't been so afraid. And the worst part about regret, you can't undo it. Once the moment has passed, once the opportunity is gone, it's gone for good. You can't go back and reclaim it. That's why regret lasts forever. It stays with you, whispering, what if, long after the moment is gone. You see, while fear is a temporary emotion that tries to keep you in your comfort zone, regret is the permanent consequence of staying there. And that's why it's so important to understand the difference. Fear can be overcome. Regret cannot. So why do we let fear control us? Why do we let it stop us from pursuing our dreams, taking risks, and going after what we truly want? The answer is simple. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of rejection, of making mistakes, of looking foolish in front of others. We're afraid of stepping outside the safety of what we know. Now imagine the alternative, letting fear stop you from even trying. That's where regret comes in. The pain of not knowing what could have been, of never giving yourself the chance, is far worse than any failure you might experience. Fear is a small price to pay compared to the lifelong burden of regret. How do we overcome fear? How do we push past that moment of hesitation and move forward? The first step is understanding that fear is natural. Everyone feels it. But the difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't the absence of fear, it's the willingness to act in spite of it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to move forward even when fear is present. The second step is to shift your perspective. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, focus on what could go right. Imagine the possibilities, the growth, the rewards that could come from stepping out of your comfort zone. Yes, you might fail. But what if you succeed? What if this decision, this moment, is the one that changes everything? The third step is to realize that fear is temporary. It will fade. Once you take that first step, once you move into action, the fear will start to lose its grip on you. Action dissolves fear. The more you move forward, the weaker fear becomes. And before you know it, the thing you were so afraid of doesn't seem so scary anymore. Now let's talk about regret. The only way to live without regret is to act. To take risks, to pursue your dreams, to follow your heart even when it's scary. Because here's the thing, when you take action, you might fail, but you'll never have to wonder what if. You'll know that you gave it your all, that you tried, that you didn't let fear stop you. And that's the key to living a life without regret. At the end of the day, it's not the things we do that we regret. It's the things we don't do. It's the opportunities we didn't take, the chances we didn't seize, the dreams we didn't pursue. Don't let fear rob you of those opportunities. Don't let fear hold you back from becoming the person you're meant to be. As you go forward in life, I want you to remember this: fear is temporary, but regret is forever. Every time you face a moment of fear, every time you hesitate, remind yourself that the discomfort of fear will pass. But if you let that fear control you, if you let it stop you from taking action, the regret will last a lifetime. Let fear dictate your life. Take the leap. Pursue your dreams. Make the tough decisions. Do the things that scare you, because when you look back at your life, you won't regret the things you tried and failed at. You'll regret the things you were too afraid to try. Today, I want to talk about something that every single one of us will face at some point in our lives: failure. It's a word that's often spoken with hesitation, a concept that many try to avoid at all costs. We fear failure, we dread it, and sometimes we let it paralyze us. But what if I told you that failure isn't something to be feared? What if I told you that failure is not the end of the road, but the beginning of something greater? Today, I want to shift your perspective. I want you to see failure not as a defeat, but as a stepping stone to success. I want you to learn to fail forward. We've all been conditioned to believe that failure is bad. From a young age, we're taught to strive for perfection, to avoid mistakes, to get it right the first time. But let me ask you this. How many people do you know who achieved greatness without failing along the way? The answer is none, because failure is not the opposite of success, it's a part of it. It's not a dead end, it's a detour that leads you to where you're meant to go. We have to redefine what failure means. Failure is not falling short of a goal. Failure is staying down when you've fallen. It's quitting. It's giving up because things didn't go as planned. But when you fail forward, you understand that every setback is just a setup for a comeback. You recognize that each failure brings you closer to success because it teaches you something valuable. When you fail forward, you turn your mistakes into lessons and your losses into gains. You see, failure is part of the process, not the end of the journey. Every successful person has failed, often more times than they can count. But they kept going. They didn't let failure define them, they let it refine them. They understood that each failure was an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. Take Thomas Edison, for example. Edison is best known for inventing the light bulb, but what many people don't know is that he failed thousands of times before getting it right. Thousands of times. When asked about his failures, Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset of someone who fails forward. He didn't let failure stop him. Instead, he used it as a guide to find the right solution. The same can be said of people like Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, the list goes on. These are individuals who experienced major setbacks, but they didn't quit. They failed forward. They embraced the process, knowing that success is not a straight line. It's a winding road filled with obstacles, challenges, and yes, failures. But each time you fail, you're given a chance to get better, to adjust your course, and to come back stronger. The beauty of failing forward is that failure becomes your greatest teacher. Every time you fail, you learn something new, you gain insight that you didn't have before. You figure out what doesn't work, and more importantly, you start to discover what does. Let's think about athletes for a moment. The greatest athletes in the world didn't reach the top by winning every game or match. They lost sometimes painfully, sometimes repeatedly, but they learned from those losses. They analyzed their mistakes, adjusted their training, and came back stronger. Failure wasn't an obstacle to their success, it was a necessary part of their journey. They used their failures to fuel their success. They failed forward. The same is true in every area of life, whether it's business, relationships, or personal goals. When you fail, don't waste time wallowing in defeat. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What went wrong? And how can I improve next time? Failure is only permanent if you refuse to learn from it. But when you fail forward, every failure is an opportunity for growth. One of the biggest reasons people avoid failure is fear. We're afraid of what others will think. We're afraid of looking foolish. We're afraid of rejection or disappointment. But let me tell you something, the fear of failure is far worse than failure itself. Fear will keep you stuck. Fear will hold you back from trying new things, from taking risks, from stepping into the unknown. But if you can learn to push through that fear, to see failure not as something to be ashamed of, but as a necessary part of your growth, then you'll open up a world of possibilities. I want to challenge you today to shift your mindset about failure. Don't fear it. Embrace it. When you fail, you're taking action, you're moving forward, you're putting yourself out there. And that's something to be proud of. Because the only real failure is in not trying at all. Every time you fail, you're learning, you're growing, and you're getting one step closer to your goal. Failing forward isn't just about big, life-changing moments. It's about the small, everyday failures too. Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted. Maybe you missed a deadline or fell short of a personal goal. It's easy to feel defeated in those moments, but I want to encourage you to look at them differently. What can you learn from the experience? How can you use it to improve for the next time? When you fail forward, you don't let setbacks derail you. You keep moving, you stay focused on your goal, knowing that every step, whether it's a success or a failure, is bringing you closer to where you want to be. You understand that failure is temporary, but the lessons it provides are invaluable. At the heart of failing forward is resilience. It's about getting back up every time you fall. It's about refusing to let failure define you. When you fail forward, you develop the mental toughness that allows you to keep going, even when things get hard. You learn that setbacks are a part of the journey, but they don't determine your destination. Resilience is what separates those who succeed from those who give up. It's not about never failing, it's about always getting back up. It's about using failure as fuel, as motivation to keep pushing forward, no matter how many times you fall. You go out into the world, I want you to remember this: failure is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. Because failure is temporary, but regret lasts forever. The only way to avoid regret is to take risks, to push yourself, and to fail forward. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to fall short. Every failure brings you closer to success, as long as you don't give up. Keep moving forward. Keep learning, keep growing. And remember, success isn't about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get.